Welcome to the library. I am here with Gwenlyan, and Dylan is... We're gonna have to remove that toy, aren't we? Yes, we are, but in a second. Hi, welcome to the library. It's been a while since you've been here. This is where I put all of my read books and my entire kids lit section, my food book section, and my disability lit section are all in here. So it's quite the collection of books. I know you if you're just joining, realizing that where I normally film is just my TBR wall, so that's a bit much. So I thought we would start today with some fun corgi facts. For funsies, you know, part of the brand. This is Gwenlyan. She's very unhappy. She hates the tripod, but I wanted you to see in the sun her beautiful brindle points. She has on her legs and on her face, she has brindle coloring. She's black and white, and she is very displeased. She's 2.5 years old, and she's a cardigan mouse corgi, so she's very snuggly. She loves a good puppy pile. Not independent at all. She's my Velcro corgi. Cardigans are a little sturdier than Pembroke Welsh corgis. They're from a more hilly county, so they are like little short sturdy legs, big paws. They have a tail that helps balance them. It's like a whole thing. So I'm gonna let her go so she doesn't headbutt me again. Okay, so today, part 1 of my January wrap-up. I have not been feeling well at all. Fatigue is just, I feel like my limbs are in water. They're so heavy and it's hard for me to breathe. I am under the care of medical professionals, so I have recently seen my doctors. So it's okay. We're working on it, but it's just, you know, hashtag spoony life. Anyway, so I'm going to be doing part 1 today, and next time you'll see part 2. And I have 20 books that I read in January, and we are actually going to start with the ones I don't have in print. Oftentimes I'll check stuff out of the library because we love that. So first up is the last 4 books in the Nicci French Frida Klein series. So that was Friday on My Mind, Dark Saturday, Sunday Silence, and The Day of the Dead. All of those audiobooks are performed by Beth Chalmers, and I love the series. It was originally recommended to me by Jane Campbell, and I say to me like it was specific. It wasn't specific. She had a great video about it, about Frida Klein, and the other books that Nicci French, which is a husband and wife like duo team, the other books that they've written. I will link it down in the description box. You can go find it and enjoy it as much as I did. Frida Klein is living in the UK. I believe the novels start around 2012, and she's a psychotherapist. Anyway, she's a therapist that works with different people, and when one of her patients describes to a T this one boy that's been missing, she's like, this is weird, did he take the boy? And that starts the first book. I think it's Blue Monday? I'm not sure. I read all of these over the holiday break. Anyway, so one of the things that I really love about this series as a whole, because I'm not going to talk about each book because it's really a spoiler, like they're so well plotted. Nicci French is not afraid to kill off characters. The way that each book opens differently. There's a lot of literary elements to the way that the books are structured, the way the scenes are approached, and it doesn't feel formulaic, even though you know behind it, like behind the curtain, it is formulaic. The way that they're able to execute the novels is pretty great. So if you are looking for a good time, I would recommend that one. A book I would not recommend is The Fury. Okay, so The Fury. This is about a playwright and his best friend, who is like this super award-winning beloved actress. So they go to this island with their like third best friend, the actress's husband, and the actress's teenage son by her first marriage. And I I really dislike this book, and I'm trying to describe why. I think it's because we have our viewpoint character, and he is going back and then retracing his steps and going back, and like all the twists and turns is just information that he already knew but did not tell you. And I found that frustrating, and like a little bit of that is okay, but like it was a lot. And I don't want to say anything else because there's spoilers, because, you know, murder happens and whatnot, but I just did not enjoy it. At the end, there's also like a crossover between the author's first book, The Silent Patient. I had not read The Silent Patient, but I had read The Maidens. I preferred The Maidens, even though it was kind of mid. I completely panned the fury. I was so annoyed by this book. I was really disappointed in the audio performance as well, because I felt it was so flat and like it just did not work on so many fronts. And so that was really my primary issue, I guess, with that one. So that was book 5. So the next book I have that I don't have in print, I cannot read text, so we're going to just roll with what we have. But it's The Successor by, I think it's Ismail Kader. I'll put the translator here. So this is about, they're wrestling. Okay, so the next book is The Successor by Ismail Kader. I cannot read text and I cannot remember the narrator's name, so I'm going to put it on the screen here. And so this has been translated from Albanian. And in real life book club, one of the members is from Albania, and so we were reading a book. And apparently this author is like really like a national treasure in their literature, and so it was really cool to be able to read that. It is from like the early 2000s, I think, when it originally came out, and so like it was very interesting. I loved all the politics and the different things. It really reminds you of just a lot of the different machinations that go behind the scene in politics. They had, you know, a dictator at the time and all sorts of things. So and when this book was set, I should say. So there's just a lot going on with the book, and I enjoyed the politics, but for me it felt a little dated in regards to the author's approach to writing women. It was not my favorite, but I don't think that's specific to it being Albania. I think it's just specific to being written by a man. But I would read more from this author and explore more Albanian literature. I'm very new. It's my first book from an Albanian author written in Albanian, so very excited about that. So, okay, so let's see. I'm just looking at my little thing here. So I'll tell you a little bit about the short stories that I read for my short story a day challenge. I'm going to do a quarter wrap up, so I'm not going to say much about these books. But I read Your Utopia by Bora Chung, and this is translated by Anton Herr. And I read Night on the Living Res by Morgan Talty, and I read Dangers of Smoking in Bed by Mariana Enriquez, translated by Megan McDowell. I finished all of these in the month of January, and so far the Story Day Challenge is going well. I got very tired, did not do daily updates or anything. If you would like more updates about the Story Day Challenge, please let me know. I always love feedback on what different things you enjoy, so I can prioritize what content to make, etc. But I would say my favorite is definitely The Dangers of Smoking in Bed. And I don't know, I don't want to spoil my reviews for these for the quarterly wrap up. Well, so I'll just say that The Dangers of Smoking in Bed is my favorite. Mariana Enriquez has become one of my favorite authors for horror particularly. So her imagination is stunning. Okay, so those are 9 books. The 10th book that I'm going to talk about is Sex with a Brain Injury, on Concussion and Recovery by Annie Leontes. This is about the author's experience growing up as an immigrant from Greece and discovering that they're queer, and then I think it's in their 30s, they experience 3 concussions in 1 year. And the title comes from an essay that the author wrote about having sex with their wife and how it just totally changed their ability and what they could do, and just that was like a microcosm for how their experience with concussion changed their life. I really love this book for, deeply personal reasons, as someone with traumatic brain injury, as someone with, eternal effects of my brain not working like it used to. I really love this book. There's so many beautiful parts of this book where the author imitates the way that one's brain works after a brain injury, or one's brain functions after experiencing concussion. It's very episodic, very melodic in some areas. It jumps a little bit, and it was really easy for my brain to follow because my brain works that way. So I'm interested to hear about the experience of people who don't have brain injury or migraines or whatever it is. One of the things I appreciated is the author talks a lot about what it takes to do their job now as someone who teaches writing. It is incredibly complicated and messy to be able to teach writing when you cannot read or write at times. And this is one of the first times I'd ever read someone else who cannot read or write, who is also a writer. I've never read anything like that before, so I feel like this book is tailor-made for me. And I have been able to talk to Annie Leontis a little bit, and they're just a very kind person. And so I bought several copies of this book because I loved it so much. I'm sending it to a bunch of friends who also have migraines and different things. But it is a beautiful book, and this is definitely my disability pick of January. I'm trying to read more every month. Last year I read one book about disability a month. That was my goal. I'd like to do more. And when I'm on Audiophile magazine, I try to have one disability pick per set of episodes I do for them per month. And this was my pick for January. I did a second one actually, I think, this for January, but I just really love this book. It is just center of my wheelhouse. So if you are also interested in similar things, definitely read this book. It is deeply impactful. It can, I think, bring up a lot of memories that you might have of experiencing migraines and different things, but it's so good. Okay, so those are 10 of the books that I read in January. We're gonna stop here, and next time I will talk more about the books that I read in January, in particular some rereads, to figure out whether or not they held up over the decades. So we'll see what happens. I don't even know what I'm going to say at this point, but anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, friends.